What is up, guys? Welcome back to the channel. It is James from Cop Logic, and everybody knows the litmus test for winning the Premier League is beating Manchester United away at Old Trafford. Liverpool have done that, so ladies and gentlemen, I think Liverpool Football Club are going to win. Now, obviously, I'm just kidding. Beating a mediocre side like Manchester United in their own backyard used to be a result that wasn't for everyone and is fast becoming a result that is for everyone. I mean, shout out to Brighton Munich, also taking points off them this season. Ten Hag having a phenomenal season, but I'm here to talk about Liverpool Football Club and Arne Slot's start to life at Liverpool. I want to discuss whether or not Liverpool are in with a shot at a Premier League title this season, and I want to know what you guys think as well, so make sure you get down in the comments and let me know your opinions on where you think Liverpool stand with winning the Premier League, and also just your thoughts on Arne Slot's start to life at Liverpool. I will be reading them all because I'm interested to see what people think. I think this is a really interesting thing to sort of talk about because it's a brand new season for Liverpool fans. A brand new era, I should say, actually, under Arne Slot. So to be clear, this is not me saying I think Liverpool are going to win the league this season. In fact, if I'm being totally honest, I think we've got a better chance at winning the Champions League, just because of the way that competition works. You know, I know it's different this year, but ultimately when we get to the knockout stages, it's the same competition, and knockout football has a way of making unbelievable things happen, like Barcelona, for example. But what I mean is that can Liverpool beat Manchester City? Yes. Can Liverpool beat Real Madrid? Yes. In a 1v1 at any given opportunity, on paper, if we put in our best performance, we can beat, I believe, anyone. Liverpool beating Manchester City in a 1v1 is one thing. Liverpool beating Manchester City over the course of a 38-game season, I think, is a very different beast. We've seen what Manchester City are capable of season after season, the points totals that they reach, the fact that they can go on an unbeaten run in the last 9 games of the season. It makes them a very difficult team to overcome over the course of a season, which is why I think the Premier League obviously is much harder to win for a team like Liverpool in this current moment than it is for us to go and win, say, a Champions League. And I do think probably Arne Slot should focus a little bit more on the Champions League this season, just because, look, it's going to be tough. And we also know Manchester City are not the only opponent up there. It's also Arsenal. Speaking of Arsenal, out of the 3 of us, and I think it will be down to the 3 of us, obviously, you know, I'm going to take my bias cap off here. I think City are probably the favourites, and I think Arsenal will probably run them the closest. But you never know. And as I'm saying, Arsenal, out of the 3 clubs, are the first club to drop points. Controversially so, maybe. Was the red card for Declan Rice really a red card? I think it probably wasn't, if I'm being honest. I think it was a little bit harsh. By the letter of the law, it was a second yellow and therefore a red. But I think it was crazily harsh to do. I don't think it would have happened to Manchester City because of the power that they have over referees. And again, I'm not trying to be controversial with that. You see it year after year after year. If something goes wrong, the players swarm the referee and the pressure is put on him to make what they believe is the right decision. And often it does go City's way. I'm just being honest. Arsenal fans, I think, will be very aggrieved about it, but a similar thing happened to us last season, very early doors against Tottenham, obviously with the Luis Diaz offside thing. Now, that was much worse, but ultimately it was a poor decision that cost us points early on in the season. A similar thing has happened to Arsenal this season. Either way, whatever way you look at it, Arsenal are the first of the teams to break. They're the first one to drop points this season. Now, in terms of the other 2 teams, Manchester City and Liverpool, both of us are undefeated. We're not just undefeated, because technically Arsenal are undefeated, but Liverpool and Manchester City have won every single game so far this season. But Liverpool have also yet to concede a single goal, and it's not just that. We've got the best XG in the league so far, and we've also got the best expected XG against, so therefore we're defending very well, but we're also attacking and going forwards very well as well. These are all great and very promising stats, but we're all only 3 games in, and we have only played Ipswich, Brentford, and a very poor Manchester United. I will come on to those 3 games in a second because I want to look at them in a little bit more detail. But moving back to Manchester City, whilst they may be undefeated as well, there's a big thing hanging over Manchester City this season, and that's the 115 charges, which we know are expected to be resolved during the month of January, which means it's going to happen this season. Now, I don't know what the punishment's going to be for that. I mean, they could be found not guilty of everything. Let's be honest. It's Manchester City. If they're found guilty and they receive a punishment, I don't know when it's going to come into effect. It could be that it comes into effect the following season, but it could be that it comes into effect this season. If they receive a points deduction in January, they have no hope of winning the league at that point, depending on how big the points deduction is. But if you consider Everton's one charge got them, 6 points in the end, then Manchester City with 115 charges are in a lot of trouble. I think if the punishment happens this season, it takes them out of the title race, at which point Liverpool and Arsenal want to be there or thereabouts in order to capitalise on that moment, and that's what I think Liverpool have to focus on. We're in a very good position right now, of course, undefeated, haven't conceded a goal, we've taken maximum points, 9 points from 9. It's a brilliant start for Arne Slot. I have to be honest that it's a better start than I expected. I think it's a better start than most Reds would have expected, especially after seeing those fixtures. Yeah, we expected to beat Ipswich, sure. Probably expect to beat Brentford as well, but United was always going to be a hard game. And let's dial it down to those 3 fixtures first of all. The Ipswich game, because here's the thing, right? I think a lot of people, whether it's rival fans or whatever, are looking at this Arne Slot start to life at Liverpool and saying, yeah, but he's had 3 easy games. So what's that really proven? I actually don't think those games are as easy as they look on paper. So let's start with Ipswich. First game of the season, a newly promoted side away. That's a hard game, whatever way you look at it, because that's Ipswich at their best. That's Ipswich fans at their most elated. It's their first day in the Premier League. They don't know what to expect, but they know they're there to have a good time. They want to sort of enter the Premier League with a bang and sort of say, this is us, this is who we are. And you get in those first games, especially if they're played away from home, if they're played at Ipswich's ground or whatever team it might be, it becomes a cauldron because the fans are they haven't seen Premier League football in so long. They've got a team like Liverpool coming to their doorstep. It's so exciting. It's such a big moment for Ipswich fans, and the atmosphere can get the best of you, and that goes for the players as well as Arne Slot. I think it was a cauldron, and we've seen in the first half against Ipswich how difficult it was. They really did give us a challenge in that first half, and it was tactics that overcame it. It was ultimately Arne Slot at half-time figuring out what he needed to do, what needed to change, and he made those changes and they were successful. So I do think that game was, first of all, a lot harder than it looked on paper, but second of all, I think it was a big game for us as fans to kind of see what we are getting from Arne Slot, what we can expect from him in the future, and a little bit about what his ability is as a coach and as a football tactician. And then if you move on to the Brentford game, look, it was Brentford at home, which we should be winning, and we did win, but they finished last season in their best ever moment. They went, I forget the number of games now, but I mentioned it in the match preview at the time, but they'd got a number of games unbeaten. It was their best streak they'd had all season, and they carried that form into this season, winning their first game at home. First game of the season, they took 3 points from it, and then obviously they come up against Liverpool at Anfield, so they're still riding that high, they're still in that good form, and yes, we expect to beat them, and yes, we did beat them, but again, I just don't think it was as simple as people are making out when you actually look at how Brentford had been performing in and around that time. Oh, it's also worth mentioning that it was Arne Slot's first Premier League game at Anfield, so again, I think a little bit of a big test for him, because he's out there in front of the hardcores, you know what I mean, he's out there in front of the season ticket holders. It's not quite the same as when he played Sevilla at Anfield, because you got a lot of new fans in there. The atmosphere, I don't think, is the same. If things had started going wrong in that Brentford game, the atmosphere would have stunk in that place. He would have definitely felt the pressure of the fans, and so I think, again, it was a test in that way for Arne Slot, because that's really what I'm trying to look at here, Arne Slot's ability and what he's shown us as Liverpool fans. And then, of course, we come to the Manchester United game, which is an interesting one because they were so poor, but I think that's taken away some of the credit of Arne Slot and Liverpool. Liverpool versus Manchester United is the biggest fixture in the Premier League for a lot of football fans, not just Liverpool and United fans, but a lot of football fans around the world. It's one of the biggest fixtures in world football. It came very early in the season, and for us, it came away from home at Old Trafford, and for me that was worrying when I initially seen the fixtures at the start of the season. Having seen the start to life that Manchester United have had this season, you felt a little bit better about it, but you still always felt like it is United, and you know there are players in that team that really turn it on when they played Liverpool because they know what it means. But it's not just that, of course. the big test, and I joke at the start, but I do think it was a bit of a litmus test for Arne Slot because he was going to Old Trafford. It's a massive statement game. If you want to win over the Liverpool fans, one of the best ways to do that is to go and slap Manchester United in their own backyard, which he did, by the way. But you're also dealing with the pressure of those fans who, again, would have turned Old Trafford into a cauldron. We did see that at some points, you know, by the end of the game during the second half Old Trafford was empty. But again, you have to give credit to Arne Slot for being able to cause a fire drill. I actually think the start of that game really played into Manchester United's hands. Trent's goal that was ruled offside. I remember when it happened, I thought to myself, this is possibly the worst start we could have had. Because whilst the play was great and the goal even looked great, Salah was marginally offside. That moment, obviously Trent goes, he kisses the camera, he recreates Gerrard's iconic celebration, which really would have annoyed the fans, the United fans. Then the goal gets ruled out, and you heard, whether you were there or whether you watched it, you heard the roar of that crowd and what that meant to them. And that was a real moment where the fans galvanized with Manchester United. The noise was up, the pressure was on, and I felt like that's possibly the worst start we could have had. Even though it was off the back of a great moment for Trent and a great piece of football, it was the worst possible start because it gave United fans something to sing about. And it was almost a warning shot for Manchester United as well to say, it's time to switch on, lads, this is Liverpool. And they did switch on for a little bit. Then, of course, as we know, it all fell apart and we go in at the end of the first half 2-0 up. We know the story of the second half. Manchester United ultimately made it very easy for us. They practically rolled over. But I think a lot of that, again, had to do with the tactical genius of Arne Slot. He came out and spoke about it and broke down Ten Hag's game plan after the game. I've seen a lot of United fans disgusted with the fact that Arne Slot was able to come out and break down and tear apart Ten Hag's game plan in under 2 minutes on live television. You have to give a lot of credit to Arne Slot as a tactician, that he was able to see that and that he was able to perform that to such an efficient level. So ultimately, life under Arne Slot at Liverpool is that we've taken 9 points from 9. We are yet to concede a goal, and whatever fans or even rival fans might think of the start to our fixtures, we're in a very good position. He's undefeated in his first 3 games, and I believe the record for a Premier League manager's debut season is 6 games, which is currently held by Pep Guardiola, who obviously he won his first 6 games. He lost his 7th in his opening season. Now, I just want to take a look at Liverpool's upcoming fixtures before we close out this video. Our next game in the Premier League is Nottingham Forest at home. You would expect us to win. So what, he's 3 already, so that's 4 games. Bournemouth at home, we expect to win. Wolves away, to be fair, not in a great moment. I think we should be expecting to win that. I know it's away from home, but expect to win. And then the 7th game is Crystal Palace away. Now again, Crystal Palace are in a little bit of a good moment. That could be a tough game. It's away at Selhurst Park. Eze is in a really good moment right now, but if we win that game, and we're definitely capable of winning that game, we've got the players to do it. It's Crystal Palace. We should win that game, really. That's 7 games. If he does that, not only are we 7 games undefeated, but he's also taken Pep Guardiola's record for the best start for a Premier League manager in their debut season. And I think to go your first 7 games undefeated and take all points from that puts you in a really, really good place. We won't know the lay of the land until we get there, but that puts us in such a good position for the Premier League title. I think at that point we have to be saying we're in a title race this season. Now, can he do that? It remains to be seen, but I think the fixtures we've had already are much harder than the fixtures coming up. And it does get a little bit harder after that, of course, but that's why I think it's so important that we capitalise on these fixtures we've got coming up, and again, go undefeated. And who knows where we could be, but I think it puts us in a massively good situation. So I'll throw it over to you guys. Get yourselves down in the comments below and let me know what you guys think about our chances of a Premier League title this season. And also just let me know what you think about life under Arne Slot, what you think about his start at Liverpool Football Club. I'm still going to hold my own opinion that I think we've got a better chance of winning the Champions League this season, but if we keep this going, take it game by game, who knows by January what happens to Manchester City, who knows where we could be and what position we could be in. Either way, we've had the perfect start to life under Arne Slot. We literally couldn't ask for more. We've taken all points and we are yet to concede a goal. It is the definition of a perfect start. So I couldn't be happier. I'm sure you guys couldn't be happier. Get yourselves down in the comments below. Thank you very much for watching the video. Please subscribe to the channel if you're not subscribed already. And if you are enjoying the content, hit that like button as well. It's free, it doesn't cost you anything, and it helps me out massively. And with that, I will bid you farewell. As always, guys, thank you very much for watching, and we'll see you in the next video. Peace.